Joining us now is the founder and CEO of the Center for Countering Digital Hate, Imran Ahmed. Imran, talk about your reaction to President Trump signing this legislation, and more importantly, what does it mean for the victims of explicit online deepfakes?
Well, let's start with the problem. 1 in 8 teens in America has been a victim of this kind of non-consensual intimate imagery abuse, where someone takes an image of them and puts it on an explicit image and presents it as though it was that person, or even more frequently now uses AI to do that, and then distributes that via social media. And that can be absolutely devastating to a child. Imagine for a moment being a 13-year-old girl and having those kinds of images circulating around your school. 50% of the time these offences occur, it's actually someone that the victim knows. So it can be incredibly, incredibly traumatizing to that child. It is about, it's extraordinary that we got to the position that platforms have literally done nothing. And it's not just social media platforms, it's the AI platforms as well. All these organizations, all these private companies have failed and created a crisis where 1 in 8 children is suffering this indignity. And it's taken Congress to stand up and do something about it. And I could not commend Senators Cruz and Klobuchar, who've been championing this bill, more. And, of course, the First Lady, who's been championing this legislation and who was there yesterday and was encouraged to sign the bill by her husband, the president.
But why was it taking an act of Congress to get these companies to move on taking these down in the first place? Because colleagues of mine have also talked to 13, 14-year-old girls who said how traumatic these experiences were. Why is it taking such a big push to get these companies to do something about it?
I think that, we have a problem across so many dimensions, whether it's the spread of dehumanizing lies about Jews that leads to anti-Semitism in our society. It is non-consensual intimate imagery that shatters the dignity of young women, young people. It's not just young women, of course, that are being affected by this. Or it's other kinds of harms that we know proliferate on social media, whether it's eating disorder content, whether it's self-harm content. We've done studies showing just how fast that can be promoted and algorithmically amplified by these platforms, shoveled within minutes of a 13-year-old girl opening an account on one of these platforms. They'll be seeing self-harm and eating disorder content. We've got a problem because social media companies are incredibly reticent to do anything about the harms on their platforms. Organizations like mine, the Center for Countering Digital Hate, we put out research. We encourage governments to do something about it. We encourage advertisers to do something about it, and sometimes we are successful. But to date, the American Congress really hasn't made any changes to the laws that were in place since 1996. And it is so gratifying to see them take this particular small issue and deal with it. But hey, now that they've dealt with this, surely they can put into place more systemic solutions that also allow us to address other types of harms. For example, the kind of extremism that leads to terrorism on our streets.
Yeah. That's one example of it, but they're also working on something called the Kids Online Safety Act. I know that's something that you're aware of as well. This is one step. Do you think that it's a sign that there might be more openness to playing a major game of catch-up from a legislative perspective on Capitol Hill, of just trying to regulate these online forums that, frankly, are in need of some guardrails?
Well, look, the Kids Online Safety Act is something that we've endorsed in the past. In fact, our research has been integral in making the case for why we need to have systems in place to ensure that children are protected when they're on social media platforms, that there are special considerations given to their particular vulnerability, a vulnerability that we recognize in every other aspect of our life, of course, because children are special, and we need to make sure that parents are not let down by having these social media platforms that can really re-socialize them, can teach them the most dangerous and pernicious things. So the Kids Online Safety Act, Apple's just backed it. What a fantastic win for the bill's authors. And second of all, we've also got a bipartisan bill which would reform the fundamental laws that has created this problem of social media that's unaccountable, that has zero transparency, that does not listen to any social cue. And that's Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act 1996. And look, the House had a sunset bill for that section, saying that, look, it's 1996, we're 30 years on, it's time to actually come together and have a comprehensive framework for how we have transparency and accountability of social media companies, how we can hold them accountable if they cause real-world harm, like any other company is subject to. But we've got this sunset bill. We've had it in the House. It's now been introduced in the Senate as well. And I would hope to see some progress on that. Because I think that, you know, what's so wonderful about social media is that it's created a world that is smaller for all of us. We can see each other. We can talk to each other. It's been such a benefit. And not least of all in the pandemic, when it's how a lot of us, you know, expressed vulnerability, found love, succor, encouragement. But it has these dark sides. And like any industry, we just want to have more of the good, less of the bad. But until now, the barrier has been the reticence of the social media companies to do anything that might hurt their profits, that might hurt the addictiveness of their platforms, might hurt even the controversy they generate, because they know the controversy leads to eyeballs. The eyeballs mean ads, ad revenues, and that's how they make their profits. So it's wonderful to see this day happen.
Imran Ahmed, I appreciate the work that you've done on this bill, that your organization continues to do in trying to keep people safer and just more aware of what's happening online. Thank you for coming on and talking with us about it.
Thank you.